Okay, welcome everyone to the student orientation for the Albers Mentor Program, the Accounting Mentor Program, and the MBA SEM Mentor Program. We're really excited that you're here. I hope you're excited. It's going to be a really fun evening, and these programs are such a great opportunity for you as students, and so I'm so glad that you're here to take advantage of it and join the programs this fall. We're going to try to just kind of go over some main logistics. What is this program all about? And kind of how you might approach it and think about it, how to choose a mentor, and then we'll talk a little bit about what the mentor fair is going to look like as well. If you have questions as we're going through, feel free to put it in the chat, or you can raise your hand as well, and we can I can unmute you to ask your questions. So, okay, so along with me today, I have some special guests. I have two students who have participated in the Albers Mentor Program, just to kind of, I think, I help coordinate it and I'm the staff. I've never been part of it as a student. And so I think you all will really benefit from hearing the nitty gritty from people who have gone this way before and actually done the program. So I want to introduce them and let them say hello to you. We have Riley Gaffney, and Riley's a current MBA student. He's also Vice President Relationship Manager at WaFd Bank. And he's actually been Riley did undergrad at Seattle U and is now an MBA student. So he's gotten to do the program for 3 years. So he's had 3 mentors, John Owansky, Erica Ramon, and Ian Smith. John Owansky retired, so he ended the program this year, but Erica and Ian are definitely still mentors that you can look for on the mentor list. Riley, you just want to unmute and say hello?
Hey guys, looking forward to chatting today. Like Megan said, 3 years, so it's been great every time.
And then we have Bethany Locke, and Bethany is a current business analytics and finance double major. She's also the president of Alpha Kappa Psi, and she interned at JP Morgan Chase this past summer. She participated last year and had Kate Martin, and Kate is still a mentor with us as well. So Bethany, you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you. I hope that you enjoy the Albers Mentor Fair as much as many students did in years past. I'm glad that you're here.
Okay, so just to kind of start out, what is the whole purpose of this program? Let's make sure we kind of all get on the same page. Why do these programs exist? What are we hoping that this is all about for you? And I think it's helpful. Mentoring or mentorship is a really big term. It's really broad. It's vague. It means a lot to a lot of different people. So this is kind of how we define it for these programs. It's an intentional relationship between a student and someone with more experience or someone with access to skills and resources. And the hope is that this person, your mentor, is providing encouragement, being a neutral listening presence. This is somebody that the hope is that they are the least amount of pressure for you. They're not your boss, they're not your spouse, they're not your parent or faculty. This is somebody neutral who just wants to support you and provide guidance and coaching. Hopefully they provide a lot of wisdom and knowledge, just having lots of good experience. They might push you at times and challenge you a little bit to help you grow, help you with discernment and reflection. And then the real, this was created, these programs were created several years ago. And so I think the whole idea was to really supplement what you're doing in the classroom and that create that bridge from school to the world of work. So all 3 programs are great. They've been around. The Albers Mentor Program has been around the longest. It's 32 years old this year. This will be our 32nd year. So it was created way before my time, but I have coordinated 15 of those years. So And I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Megan Spalding, everybody. I'm a career advisor in the Albers Placement Center, and I help manage the Albers Mentor Program in my role. So all of you joining that program, I will be your main point of contact. And then I partner with the coordinators of the Accounting Mentor Program. They couldn't be with us here, but the Accounting Mentor Program is 19 years old. That's coordinated by Sandra Piera and Chips Chipolcati, the Department Chair of Accounting. And then the MBA SEM Mentor Program is actually 4 years old, and Rose Kaiser and Malin Hanold manage that one. And so we all partner together, but some of the programs are a little more specialized. So when you think about joining this program, I would encourage you, as you're going in and talking to mentors tonight, as you're signing up for the program and filling out your form, to really think about beforehand, if you're going to join something like this, what are your individualized objectives? If you were to get matched with a mentor and be able to meet with them regularly throughout this year, what would you be hoping to achieve or to get out of it? Obviously, most people are focused around career and job search advice. I think that's the most common reason why people join this. But I would say if you can open your mind, there is a lot more things you can get out of this. You might be in a career transition, maybe in one field, and you want to move to a completely different one. Obviously, you can be kind of observing this mentor, getting kind of shadowing or seeing what it's like firsthand in their role or at their company. Hopefully networking contacts come out of this, maybe learning how to brand yourself or how to go out into the work world, kind of promoting yourself and, getting wisdom from somebody who has been there in many different types of situations in the world of work, whether it's conflict in the workplace or negotiating or leaving a job to go somewhere else, or just being in a place of having no idea what they wanted to do and what did that look like. So a lot of opportunities and possible goals or objectives that you could achieve through this relationship. Just a small little note, we do like to kind of remind students that the goal here is this is not a job placement activity. It would be awesome if a job came out of it, and I'll be honest, sometimes that has happened, but I want to make sure that mentors are not feeling pressured from students to help get their mentees a job. This is kind of more of to support and guide you through your career journey, somebody to just kind of come alongside you, not somebody to kind of just like, help you get hired. So just to kind of think more outside the box there. Riley, Bethany, do you guys have any comments on this page or kind of what you came into the program hoping to get out of?
Yeah, I think that was great. I like seeing all the different boxes, and I think one piece you'll get into in a little bit about groups and maybe having multiple mentees is getting to see some of the different facets too. So maybe if you're meeting about once a month, you can touch on a few of these things. So going into tonight, it's great to know, hey, here's the one or two buckets I'm most interested in. If you're going through a career transition or you want to learn more about networking in that industry or something, you can kind of have those as your starting points. And then since it goes over the course of a calendar year, it often just naturally develops into exploring multiple of these. So definitely recommend, when you're talking to folks tonight, discussing with them a couple of your main interests. And a lot of times that's how you're able to sort out who might be a good fit, is if they themselves have had a transition or gone through what you're looking for, then you're able to kind of know that's a good match for me.
Yeah.
I completely agree with what Riley mentioned. I would say that there's no one size fits all way to how mentorship looks. And so I know that on the website, you can see all the different mentors and their fields and their companies that they work at, but keeping an open mind of how you mesh with your mentor and how you feel comfortable talking to them about the different things that come up, because they advise beyond what is just solely professional. So just finding someone that you're able to like be open into talking to and explore all of those different changes as you experience them is super important. So keeping an open mind when you're navigating all the different rooms later to find a potential mentor.
That's great. And great point, Riley. Like you might go into it with 2 of these, and then all of a sudden, depending on discussions and where you are in January, now you're exploring 4 of these or something. So the year can evolve as you get to know each other and build relationship and build connection. I think a lot more can come out of it, and it tends to, where students, we're talking about things they didn't even expect to, and then it was super helpful. So that's great. Thank you both. Okay, so just a quick breakdown of the 3 programs. The Albers Mentor Program is for grad students in Albers, undergrad seniors, just senior by credit. So if you're a senior early because of credit, that's great, you can join. Also, students who have done the Albers Undergrad Leadership Program, you can join as a junior. So hopefully you're here today. Your main contact for that program is myself or Mary Lou, the Albers Placement Center. The Accounting Mentor Program is for undergrad, junior, and senior accounting, MPAC and MSAA students. The main contact for that is Sandra and Chips in the accounting department. And then the MBA SEM Mentor Program is for MBA SEM students. It's a mouthful. And your contact is the MBA SEM department. They're coordinating that. And so we do ask, just so there's enough space for everybody, that you only join one program. So for the specialized ones, if you fall under those categories, and you want to join the Accounting Mentor Program, just join that one so that we have enough space for everybody to participate. So the commitment for this program, it is an academic year program. So it goes from October to June. We don't really accept students in the middle of the year because the matching happens in the fall. We want you to be able to have enough time to really build a relationship with your mentor and be able to meet with them several times. So that's kind of why we only start it and kick it off in the fall. So if you're thinking about it and you want to join, this would be the time, or you have to wait until next year. If you're graduating early, if you like Riley's graduating this December, or if you're graduating in March, you absolutely can still participate. We just ask that you commit to meeting with your mentor for the whole year. So even if you're done being a student here at Seattle U, that you continue your monthly meetings with your mentor, so you can get as much out of it as you can. Oh, somebody's in the chat is asking, what is APC? Great question. APC is the Albers Placement Center. That's the office where I work, and we are the career center for the business school. So we are your main point of contact for career planning. And then one of the major things that comes out of our office is the coordination of this program, of the Albers Mentor Program. So we'll be your main contact for that. So thank you for that question. So what does it look like? If you're really busy, you're juggling work and school and involvement on campus and all these things, you might be wondering, like, can I do this? It really is not that intense when you break it down. Most groups meet about once a month. Those meetings might be 1 to 2 hours. So all told, if a group has about 6 to 7 meetings in a year, that's a really strong, in our minds, that would be successful. That would be a great kind of what we would be hoping for. And so when you break it down like that, hopefully you can find 1 to 2 hours every month to be able to get the benefit out of this. In scheduling might be one of your most challenging things because you're all busy, the mentors are busy. And so we do ask that you try to be as flexible as possible, that you really try to support the mentors' preferences in when they can meet and when they're available. And you can see on the mentor profiles, they have listed when and where they would like to meet. And so if you have a really limited schedule, I'd encourage you to really look at that part on the mentor profiles, so you can figure out if you will be able to commit to the time that the mentor is offering. Last year, we really asked that everybody stay virtual just because we were so in the heat of COVID. This year, now that people are vaccinated and little bit lighter, we're just leaving it up to you all, if as a group, if you prefer, you and your mentor, if you prefer to meet virtually or in person. We do have some mentors who have moved out of state, and we love them and we want them to stay part of the program. And so they will be 100% virtual, and that should be in their profile if that is the case. Or if the mentor just prefers that, maybe they're just still feeling kind of, for safety reasons, or work is so overwhelming that virtual is easier, they have put that in their profile. So just make sure to check that and make a decision based off kind of what your preference is for your experience this year. Maybe if the mentors open it to it, though, you could do hybrid, some in person, some virtual, whatever works. I think people found that virtual last year was nice from a availability standpoint, like they could meet more often. So just figure that out with your mentor, and we'll leave that up to you. Just flexibility is key. Communicating regularly is key. Finding out how the mentor prefers to be communicated with. So, you know, if you're not hearing back on your email, then maybe they're not great at email. So you might want to give them a call, or maybe as a group, you can figure out that texting works better, Teams chat. Gosh, there's so many things now, figuring out what works best, so that everybody can kind of plan and make that easy on each other. And then sometimes mentors are pretty high level, and they might have an assistant actually who helps schedule the meetings, and that person would be reaching out to you. And those people are wonderful. If you have that situation, just love on those people, because they are amazing and can get you into the schedule where, you know, it may not have happened otherwise. So this little timeline down here is just like a kind of a quick synopsis of what the year looks like. Right now, we're kicking off with the mentor fair. By late October, you will find out who your mentor is. We'll do the matching process in about 2 weeks. We got to do some administrative stuff, and then we'll send out the information of who you've been matched with. The hope would be kind of early November, mid-November, you're having your first meeting and getting kicked off as soon as possible. You have ongoing meetings monthly from December to June, and then June would be the formal wrap-up time where you're thanking your mentor. We'll send out a survey. If you want to keep meeting through the summer, that's up to you and your group and the mentor if they're available. The mentor will not get new mentees until the following fall. So if your group wants to keep meeting, that's great. That's up to you all. Bethany, Riley, advice on this. How did you all do it for coordinating and scheduling?
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on the group dynamics. So it's good to circle up early, you know, if you have mentees in your group, and if you're a mentor, and kind of hash it out in an email thread, or like you said, text or something, and just know, okay, what's a good time of the month for folks, or what's a good method of communication. I think in the ones I've been in, the consistency is often helpful. So, you know, doing the first Wednesday of every month or something like that, where it's a little bit easier to fit it in and have it there consistently, rather than trying to adjust it every month. So depends a little bit on the group, but yeah, I found the consistency and making sure that how you're communicating and when you're scheduling is optimal for everyone at the start makes it a little bit easier the rest of the year.
Riley, when you say consistency, did you pick the second Friday of every month or something like that?
Yeah, so last year, like you said, when it was mostly online, we did like the first Wednesday. I think it was maybe 4 p.m. or something. So kind of during the workday, but at the tail end. And we did that for, I think, about six months straight, something like that. When it was in person, it was a little bit different, because we just were able to, you know, schedule going to do something different, or meeting at their office, or meeting at a coffee shop. So that one varied a little bit more. But yeah, picking a day or a week of the month or something, definitely I would recommend that.
Good. Thank you.
I would say about the same. The communication's key here. Me and the other mentee that I was paired to, we kind of made an effort to meet together before we met our mentor formally for the first time, just to kind of get an idea like of each other's availabilities, what schedules look like. And we also chose like a target date every month that was like Wednesday evenings. And we kind of put that on an Outlook calendar and just like sent it to our mentor and the other mentee just as like a reminder. And as things come up and meetings pop up or emergencies happen, we just adjusted as need be. And our mentor is pretty good knowing that like the meeting was supposed to occur like sometime during that week. So that was always great. But I think after a full academic year of mentorship, we had about 6 meetings. And then I met with my mentor, like just for one-on-one sessions where we just like went outside and like went on a walk around campus. I think like twice. So I met with them around like 8 times total, but just kind of setting that agenda of the themes of each meeting or the month would be like a good baseline to start with your other mentee group.
What worked for you guys in communication? Were you emailing? Were you texting? What was kind of the preferred? What worked well?
I think the ones I've done, it was mostly email, but Bethany's point was great about circling up with them as a mentee group beforehand, kind of before you talk to the mentor. Because often that was when we would come up with topics, which I think we'll be talking about soon, but you can kind of hash that out. And then like Bethany said, get either a calendar invite or get it, a week in advance, say, hey, I know we're ready to meet next Wednesday. Here's what we'd like to talk about, sort of a thing. Because the mentors, obviously they've signed up for this, so they're enthusiastic about it and they want to do it, and that's great. But they certainly, everyone has day jobs or families or whatnot, so they want a little bit of direction, at least in the ones that I've worked with. So if you give them that going into it, a little bit of advance notice, here's what we're looking for. And the communication is pretty clear. They go into it knowing what to expect based on the email, or if you're more of a texter, through that.
Good, thanks, Riley.
We also used email as like the primary like communication with our mentor. Just between me and the other mentee, like we texted back and forth, but we just made sure that we were on the same page before we looped in our mentor, just so the lots of emails circulating between the mentor, it's just like easy to read and they're not part of all of our ideation and schedule conflicts. So get on the same page with your mentee first before looping in the mentor.
I love that. Thank you. Thanks, Bethany. That's perfect. I just want to touch on a couple of things that are in the chat. If I'm a new student, am I too early to consider joining? No, absolutely not. I would join so you have the opportunity to, if you're a grad student, you're going to be here a couple years. I would join now so you have the opportunity to have maybe multiple mentors, just like Riley's has had. Or if you're an early senior, join now so that, again, like Bethany is able to have 2 mentors during her undergrad time, which is kind of rare. So it's never too early to jump onto this, and it really can help you during your time, the whole time as you're a student. How do I find my mentor? We're going to talk about that in a minute. And then no, you cannot have multiple mentors, unfortunately, for this year. You can if you do the program multiple years, if that makes sense. But at one time, you are matched with one mentor. But once that person has been your mentor and now they're in your, like Bethany and Riley's mentors from last year will always be in their network and somebody that they can call on to meet back up with and get help from and update. And they may not be meeting monthly. But I know like Riley was in touch with his first mentor just recently because he's retired and got to celebrate that with him. And so the goal is here, this is an ongoing relationship. It just may not be as often as the academic year program. And then somebody's asking, is MBA SEM a different track? Yes, that's a totally different program. It's the MBA in Sport Entertainment Management. So if you're a PMBA, just a regular MBA student, you would be wanting to do the Albers Mentor Program. Yes, and then the mentors change every year. So, because you got the opportunity to have that mentor this year, and then next year we would match you with somebody new, so somebody else could have the mentor that you just had, if that makes sense. So we do switch every year. Those are great questions, everybody. So somebody asked, how do I select my mentor? So you will fill out, I'll tell about this of like how to officially join. You will fill out a form, an online form to officially join the program. And on there, you will list your top 6 preferences, or if you want to even tell me more than top 6, that's helpful, of, you know, who you would be happy to be matched with. So all 3 programs have an online mentor list. In the emails you got in the last couple of days, there's been links to those lists. I'll also put them in the chat tonight at the hop-in event. So every single mentor who has said yes to all 3 programs has a profile online, so you can research and learn more about them. Everything from their title and organization, and then you click into their name and there's a ton of information like their experience, education, mentoring kind of style. What are they all about with mentoring? What do they like to help students with? When and where they can meet, any additional information. You can link to their LinkedIn. So we're just trying to help you learn as much as you can about them. And then obviously the mentors that can attend tonight, which not all of them can, but a lot of them can attend tonight, you'll get to interact with and see what they're like offline. So that will help you as well. When you're looking at them and trying to decide like, oh, who should I be matched with? Obviously what you thought about in terms of our couple slides ago of objectives, what are your objectives out of this? That comes into play here. You know, if the big part for you is transition into a certain industry or trying to get a job in a certain industry, then you can align your mentor choice with that, or company or something like that. But I would also like, you know, if you're kind of open and you just want to learn and be a sponge and, you know, you're kind of open to a lot of different things, there's a lot you can look at in terms of what mentor might be a good match for you. So what's their kind of their style, read through that part, because you might go, oh, wow, that sounds really cool. Or that would be exactly what I would be wanting or helpful for me. Tonight, you'll be able to see if you have a personality connection with them because you can engage and talk with them. All of us and the program coordinators, we know these people, so we're happy to help give advice if you need it. I would just say really be open and don't judge a book by its company or industry. These folks, especially if they have a lot of experience, they might say right now that they're at some random small organization you have never heard of. But if you clicked into their profile and you look at their experiences, they've been at multiple large corporations, tons of great experience, high level roles, and maybe now they're just getting close to retirement and they're slowing down a little bit. Or maybe they've started their own consulting company. And so you look at their, you know, logistical title and company and you're like, oh, they just have their own consulting company, but look at like what they've done before that. So one example I like to give is Zev. Zev Siegel is one of our Albers mentors, and he currently has his own consulting business. He helps people who are starting their own businesses and entrepreneurship build up their businesses. So at first glance, you might be like, oh, interesting. But if you read through his profile and look at his experience, he's one of the co-founders of Starbucks. So you can't just like only look at their titles and then make judgments off of that. I would really be getting into these profiles and reading more and looking at their background. You might be surprised what you find and what you might be excited about and how they might be able to help you. So Riley or Bethany, any feedback on this or how you all went about kind of looking at the mentors and deciding? Bethany, if you want to go first or whichever.
I think you nailed it. I think a lot of it was looking at their background, not just where they're at now, but are there other connection points that would be interesting? And some of the ones you know, they were when I was exploring different careers or looking at these different paths. So I think it's a lot of what I look for is not just where they're in now, but what they have experience in and where might they be able to help me build my network or gain some insight into.
Good. Thanks, Riley.
I think one thing I want to add is that the current position that your mentor has now is not their full story. Like that's not just them. Like they have had like so many other experiences, maybe going to grad school, going to different like startups or different companies, or maybe not even in the state of Washington. that you can look at. I was lucky enough that the mentor that I had actually has a fiance that's also an Albers mentor. So they kind of both provided insight to this mentee group, which was really special. So they both had different experiences that they could speak to. And that was like really great, but not just looking at their current title or position, but maybe like the network that they have too, and all of the previous places that they may have worked or anything like that. So I think Megan touched upon it perfectly, not judging a book by its cover, because the virtual format may kind of prompt that.
Yeah, totally. A couple people are asking how the matching works. It is tricky. We look at a lot of different things. So when you fill out your forms, make sure you fill out as much information as you can. There's questions in there about your work experience, what you're interested in, why you're joining the mentor program, why you've selected this mentor as a preference, when and where you can meet, all those things we're looking at to make sure it's a good match for you, for the mentor. There might be other students with the same mentor. And so we also want to make sure it's good group dynamics. And so we're kind of looking at all those different things. In terms of like students who are graduating soon, I'll be honest, they tend to get priority, because if this is their last year to do the program, then I'll probably give them more priority of their top choices. So just if you could be really open-minded, list all full 6 preferences and be in a space where you're like, any of these 6 would be great. I'd be grateful. That can help us out a lot, because there, at least in the Albers program, there's 120 mentors. We'll have definitely over 200 students probably. And so it's a tricky balance. And so as kind of open and kind of as many options as you can give us is really helpful. I think the accounting program has about 25 to 30 mentors, and MBA SEM has about 17 to 20. So they're a lot smaller programs. But our program, the matching process is quite the adventure. So just know we're trying to do our best. We're looking at a lot of different things. We want you to have a good experience. And the more information and details you can give us, the better. So hopefully that helps. Okay. So group dynamics. Like I said, depending on the matching process, it could be you're matched with a mentor one-on-one, and that does sometimes happen. And what a great opportunity for you. You get all the attention, which is amazing. But also because we have so many students and not as many mentors, it might be a 2-to-1 or a very max 3-to-1. We try not to go to 3-to-1 if possible. But sometimes that's just how it works out if the mentor is really popular. But 2-to-1 is kind of our sweet spot if we can. And we only match grads with grads and undergrads with undergrads. So you will not be matched in terms of like, again, we want good group dynamics, people kind of in the same place, same goals, just to make it a little more smooth. So the goal, just out of respect for the mentor, would be that you're meeting as a group, ideally. It, like Bethany mentioned, she got to have a couple one-on-ones with her mentors. It's okay to ask for that occasionally. I'm not sure they would be able to do it every month, but it's okay if you just have something personal you want to talk about, you don't want to air it out to the group. I think it's definitely okay to ask your mentor for, a couple one-on-ones so you can get personalized help. But I think be open-minded. You might actually learn a lot from your group mates as well, and be in these really cool dialogues and discussions where everybody's contributing. You never know the experiences or networks that your group mates have, that they might be able to support you as well. So the hope here is that everybody's kind of benefiting from each other. And the mentors also always say they benefit just as much from their students as well. So hopefully you can be finding that synergy where the group dynamics actually enhance the experience. But I also know sometimes group dynamics are challenging. So if you are struggling and maybe a group mate's not, being as engaged or being as flexible, I get that frustration. So please reach out for help. Don't just, let it go or just be frustrated and give up. That's why all of us program coordinators are here. We want to help you. And I don't want to hold up your experience if somebody's not, kind of cutting their end of the deal. So please just reach out and let us know what's going on. Riley, Bethany, any comments here? And Riley, you've been a little broken up in your sounds. I don't know if turning off video or would help, but Bethany, I know you were with another student. It sounds like I loved your idea of we met and coordinated and then we reached out to the mentor. I think that's ideal if you can do that, right? Just puts a little less pressure on the mentor. And then, how impressive does that look to the mentor that you got all your ducks in a row, you're making it easy on them. And, I think that's such a good, respectful way of kind of managing the relationship with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know every mentor has a different mentorship style, but my mentor that I had last year really just focused in on that she wanted to do programming that was of interest to us. So it was up to the mentees to kind of create topics that we wanted to talk about each month, whether it be a podcast or a book that we read, internship and job applications, grad school, everything of the sorts. So we kind of came up with those agenda items and brought it to our mentor, and we let her know ahead of time that this is what the month would be about, so we can both prepare on both ends. So just kind of asking any potential mentors that you meet today, what their mentorship style is. Maybe they have stuff in store for you, or they're looking for students to kind of advocate for what they want to see in a mentor relationship, is equally as important in how you go about preferencing mentors.
Thanks, Bethany. Riley, anything here? Any challenges you came across or strategies?
Not too many challenges. I guess I've been lucky that most of the groups have lined up pretty well. I think one of your next slides will talk about some of the topics or suggested things that I might chime in on that one, because that's an area where I think planning ahead kind of early on, letting your mentor know here's what we're interested in, and then also working with the mentee, one or two others that you're paired with maybe monthly, and saying, hey, here was the half a dozen that we wanted to do. Let's kind of figure out how to go about that. So I think that's usually the group dynamics piece, is trying to make sure everybody's topics are heard and everybody gets to participate how they want.
That's great. Much better. Thank you. Fixing your sound. Okay, I want to keep moving along because I want to make sure you all get a break before the mentor fair starts. But yeah, this is long. You were sent out via email. When I emailed about the program, I included the student handbook. And so you all have a bunch of these. This kind of goes over activity ideas. Maybe there's even a sample structure in here if you're really struggling of what should our meetings look like. There's a sample kind of plan. We intentionally don't give you this is exactly what you do with your mentor, because we don't want to squelch creativity or ideas or what you all need to do. So but we're happy to provide ideas based on what we've seen past groups do. So obviously all the job search advice, resumes, mock interviewing, negotiating, applying, how do I get past the hiring manager, all those things, or get my resume past the thing. Most very common that all those things would be addressed. But I always kind of recommend to students, you have an immediate goal. If you're a senior, obviously probably your immediate goal right now is to get a job by June, right? So immediate goal. Or if you're, a grad student, you're graduating soon, maybe same thing. So obviously try to address those things with your mentor, but then I would also encourage you to go beyond that. What is after a year on the job, what does that look like? What does 5 years down the road look like? What are things that you're going to encounter in the work world you're not even thinking about right now or realizing it's going to happen? Or challenges you might face that you've never faced before that they could probably bring to light or give you some wisdom around. So work-life satisfaction, maybe you don't have a family now, but you want to someday. And then what does that look like? How do you navigate all of that when you're working full-time? Bethany had a lot of conversations with her mentor around diversity, equity, inclusion in the workplace, because that was really a strong value of hers. So, how do you align personal values to the workplace? What if you don't get along with your boss? What's working virtually look like right now? And how is that like changing the face of work? Now that we're back in person, you might be able to do a little more than you could have last year. So maybe an office tour, or maybe they can bring in people from various departments from their company to meet with you. And so you can build your network or find out about different roles in the company. There are a lot of different options here and opportunities. And I would just encourage you to kind of open your mind and not just think about what is the immediate thing I need help with. Think down the road, what are things that would be helpful to learn from this person? Real quick, Bethany, Riley, anything that you guys did that just like stood out to you or was one of your favorite activities?
One of the ones I liked is doing kind of like you have in there about reading through a leadership book or doing something together, depending on what industry you're looking at. Like if you're in consulting, groups like Boston Consulting or Deloitte will have actual cases online. And so if you're interviewing in that industry or you're trying to crack in there, just going through those with one of your mentors. I did that with one of mine, and some of my friends said their mentors would even bring like obviously nothing that has to stay private, but some sort of an item from work that they can talk about and work through and problem solve. So I definitely, if you're looking at a career transition or trying to break in somewhere, I think that's extremely valuable. And it gives you something great for when you're going into actual interviews or discussing jobs. You have something a little bit more concrete.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. I know one of our MSBA, if you're an MSBA student, one of our mentors who's in business analytics, he gives actual like hard business analytics projects to his students and like really helps you learn certain platforms and stuff. So there's some that are very hands-on, which is great. Bethany?
I'm speaking more from an undergrad perspective, but I never had like an internship prior to last summer. And so kind of navigating what I'm looking for in a workplace, like coming out of COVID was like kind of the hot topic during the time since I got assigned that mentor during COVID. So kind of speaking more to like what kind of balance we want to see in a workplace. And I was like, my mentor was in a finance field, and that's like a career that I'm looking into. So kind of just like seeing all of the different, I guess like verticals and what work-life balance looks like in each was like super important, and how COVID would ever change that. But there were some times where we did resume and cover letter like reviews just like on a one-on basis, and did some like technical interviews for what you would see in like a finance internship and things of that nature. It's really like a good environment and safe space to practice that, because no one gets hurt if it wasn't like your full interview, because you're just in front of a mentor and they want to see you succeed as much as you're willing to put into it.
Good. Thank you. That's great. So a lot of different things, elements for success. We've talked a lot about these. Again, you've got student handbook with a lot of different ideas. In the back of this, and when you get your mentor match, I will attach something called a student profile. This is helpful just to kind of fill out and give to your mentor ahead of time or at your first meeting. It's all about you, why you joined the program, what you're hoping to get out of it, what do you want to discuss? And I think kind of starting off with that will help foster a good kickoff and kind of planning what you want the year to look like. A common meeting time every month if you can, or that might change quarterly with classes, but setting out the year, what are all the things you want to make sure to discuss and cover. We also in the Albers program, because there's so many people, I've created a Canvas course in there for students that join the Albers program. So I'll give you access to that when you're matched with a mentor, and all the resources will be in there for you as well that we're talking about today. So I think overall, just students taking the initiative is when things work well. So, being honest about what you want help with, kind of leading the planning of meetings, being the person who reaches out first, and not just waiting for your mentor to drive things. I think that ultimately is what helps groups be successful. You don't have to know all the things, but just being candid and open and asking for help and driving the planning really goes a long way. So any kind of issues, if it's just not going as well, you're not hearing back from your mentor or your group mates, or just like really struggling, it's just not going the way that you were expecting or hoping, please reach out. We want to help. I don't want you to feel like you're on your own, and we can kind of, if it's early enough and we can kind of get in there and help you still have a good experience, we want to do that. So our contact info is here. You'll be hearing from us as well when you get matched. And so you can just kind of respond to our emails, but anything you need help with, we're happy to. Okay, so steps to officially join the program. This is the first step, so good job. Thank you for being here. Attending tonight is just a fun way for you to meet some of these people and engage with them offline. Again, only some of them can be here. So you really want to be on the websites of all of our programs and looking at the mentor lists and the profiles on there, because there might be somebody in there you're really interested in, but they just couldn't attend tonight. So make sure to look at all that. You have a lot of time to research those websites. So you've got tonight to see how your interactions go. And then you have all next week to get in that website, do your research. We don't want the forms until October 11th. And you would turn that in online. Each program has a different selection form on the different program websites. And I will link to those tonight at the Mentor Fair. And so take your time. There is no advantage to turning in early. I do that. All three of us do the matching process at one time. So, getting it in tonight, I'm not doing anything with that form until next week. So you've got a lot of time, take your time. It's not a like first come, first serve kind of situation. So, and then you will receive an email. You, your possible other group mates, and your mentor will all get the same email that you've all been matched together with each other's contact info, and then you start planning from there. Okay. So a little bit about tonight. So when we're done here at 4:30, you're going to want to go to this website, which I've sent out a bunch in emails. If you've pre-registered, you're going to still go to that same website, and then you'll log in to hop in, and then it will bring you into the event. So when you go to this website, it will look like this. You'll click join event if you have not pre-registered, or you'll click log in to access the event if you've pre-registered. Okay. You'll kind of see the reception page. There'll be some instructions. Over on the right-hand side is a chat going the whole time. And so pay attention to that, because I'll be putting in reminders and updates and announcements and things like that. We will start off with, over here is kind of your main menu for navigating the event. So we'll start off first on the stage. We're just going to do a brief welcome and introduction with Dean Phillips and myself, just to kind of, because there's a lot of people who aren't here in the orientation, and then obviously the mentors. We just want to kind of welcome everybody and say thank you for coming. That's just going to be about 10 or 15 minutes. And then when sessions start at about 4:45, you'll click on sessions on the menu, and there's a whole dashboard of all the mentors who have said they could attend tonight. Kind of looks like this, and they have their picture and their name, their title and company, what program they're with. So you can search by name up here. There's also going to be a couple tags up here, so you can filter the list by, Albers mentors or accounting mentors or undergrad mentors or things like that. So to help you, because there's probably 80 some people listed on this dashboard. So we want to make sure you can find them easily. You'll click into their name, and it'll bring you into basically like a breakout. It looks like a Zoom breakout room. The mentor will be there, and you share your video and audio, and then you're able to interact with them and talk to them and ask them questions. There will only be there'll be the mentor and then a max of 4 students in the room at a time. So if you see that the room is full, then just leave and go see somebody else, and you can come back. We just want to make sure it feels small and intimate, and that people are able to get their questions answered. Then when you're ready to leave, you can just in the chat, there is a chat for each session. In the chat, you could say, thank you so much, great to meet you, or you could just say that out loud. And then you leave session, and then you click on sessions again on the menu over here, and it'll show all the people will pop up again. The very first session is a help desk. So myself and my colleague will be in there. So if you're struggling or not sure how to navigate it, jump in there and we'll do our best to try and help you. Or you can also put it in the chat, if the event chat, if you're having trouble with the event. So sample questions, totally up to you. Again, kind of aligned with your objectives. Tell me about your company, current position, your experiences. What have you enjoyed most about your career? What's your mentoring style? What do you tend to do in your mentoring every year? If they're a new mentor, they may not know that yet, but they have probably some thoughts and ideas. What do you expect from your mentees? Why did you join the program? Those would be all great things to ask them tonight. And we just ask you really respect, like, try not to be with a mentor for a really long time, so other students have the opportunity to interact with them. And so we just kind of want everybody moving around to create space for everybody to meet who they want. Like I said, there's a chat box. There's a chat box for the event, for the sessions, for the stage. I would just pretty much stay in the event box the whole time, chat, and I'll be putting announcements in there. You can also search for people, and if you are really struggling, you can send me a message directly. And then I'd be happy to help you, or just jump into the help desk session and I can help you from there. So we'll be kind of sending out reminders, updates. If mentors had to cancel and they couldn't come, we'll put it in there. I think I mentioned all these. Again, not all the mentors can come, so you definitely want to still check the mentor lists for each program so you can see the full scope of who has said yes and committed to mentoring this year. If they're not here tonight, that doesn't mean they're not a mentor. If they're on that list, they have said yes to mentoring, and maybe they just couldn't arrive tonight or join tonight. The event ends at 6, so we will be asking people to kind of log off around that time so you all can go enjoy your weekends, and especially the mentors enjoy their weekends. So try to like wrap things up around that time. We'll be sending out reminders. Okay, how are we doing on time? Okay, I'm gonna close this down. I know there's still some questions in the chat. I'm so sorry I haven't gotten to everything, but again, I will be in the session, so in the mentor fair. So send me a message, or you can email me after the event. I'm happy to help you. So thank you, Riley and Bethany, so much for being with us. We really appreciate it, and all your perspectives were super helpful. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And we're going to make sure that you get some water, some food, and then jump into the mentor fair with us in just a few moments. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you soon. Have fun tonight.